The village in it with a map and a plan. No place too tiny for this determined man. Crossing the counties one by one, you'll see in every English corner a bit of history.
Hello folks, welcome to a brand new county. For the very first time on TVI, we're in Shropshire this week, and we're beginning this episode at the border between Shropshire and Staffordshire. Behind me there, you can see we have a lock, and that is on the Shropshire Union Canal. It's called Tiley Lock, and you can find it on the border of the parish of Sutton upon Tern. Sutton upon Tern, South Farm on a powerful river. Welcome everyone to the county of Shropshire for the very first time on TVI. There are 201 parishes to cover in this West Midlands county, so settle in for the long haul. We'll be back here several times over quite a number of years to get this one done. It's one of the most rural counties in England and is known for being the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution, particularly at the Iron Bridge Gorge, which is a World Heritage Site. It's also famous for its stunning, unspoiled countryside and its historic market towns like Ludlow and Shrewsbury. But that's all to come in future episodes. We're beginning the county in the countryside to the south of the lovely town of Market Drayton, and first up on our list is Sutton upon Tern. This is a good one to start with because it's a very typical Shropshire parish, very rural and scattered everywhere. Sutton upon Tern is based around a hamlet of the same name, almost right at its centre. It sits just to the south of Market Drayton Golf Club between two major roads, the A41 and the A529. The parish's eastern boundary is marked by part of the route of the Shropshire Union Canal. In this one we'll be discussing a battle and also the military. We have some lovely old buildings to admire too, like Rosehill Mill. In the village of Woodseaves and the hamlet of Ternhill, we'll even see two types of railway. In all, this is a very varied one and a great advert for Shropshire as a whole. Let's go. Here we have Sutton upon Tern as it appeared on maps at the turn of the 20th century. Notice how this was not its own parish at that time. This was instead part of the old Drayton in Hales, which covered a huge area in the northeast of Shropshire. Sutton upon Tern parish covers a lot more than just the hamlet at the centre of it that has the same name. Way more in fact. Generally speaking, Sutton's boundaries take in the rural area between the A41 to the west and the Shropshire Union Canal to the east. It includes the villages of Woodseaves and Buntingsdale, the hamlets of Sutton Heath, Crickmary, Rosehill, Colehurst and Ternhill, and the relatively large Market Drayton Golf Club. Aside from Buntingsdale and the golf club, relatively little has altered around here. It was hard to know exactly what to zoom in on here given this one is so spread out, but here's Sutton upon Tern itself. It is literally just like this today, very rural with nothing much to speak of barring farms. How this is the name of the parish is a little beyond me. This is Woodseaves, which had far more and still does today, even though the school and the Methodist chapel you see on this map are no longer in use. Both still stand though. Woodseaves also has another feature these days which will appeal to the railway enthusiasts out there. Buntingsdale has changed almost beyond recognition. In 1900 there was a huge country house and a large parkland here. Today it's a lot more built up and it's effectively the centre of Sutton's modern population. That hall though is still very much standing. This won't be an episode that has a lot in the way of walking. For the most part, we'll be driving around Sutton upon Tern because everything of note is scattered far and wide, a long way from the small hamlet at the centre of it all. I suspect a lot of Shropshire will be like this. We'll basically work this one from east to west, beginning at the parish boundary in the small hamlet of Tiley on the Shropshire Union Canal. We'll then go to the Four Alls Inn on the A529 before working our way south to Woodseaves. We have three things to cover there. Sutton-upon-Tern itself will follow that, but it'll only be a fleeting visit. Aside from a farm or two, there's still nothing really in it. What's to the north of it though is very interesting. It's a golf club which was the site of a battle some centuries ago. After that, still in the car, we'll make our way to the A41 via Colehurst and Rosehill, stopping to admire the lovely Rosehill Mill in the latter. The A41 is the western parish boundary for a distance, and it runs between a place called Buntingsdale and the site of the former RAF Tern Hill. Buntingsdale will afford us a little walk as we discover the link between it and the base, and we have that country house to discuss there too. Finally, we'll cover the old railway station at Tern Hill, located in a piece of the parish that's only joined to the rest via a tiny strip of land. Let's start this trip around the parish of Sutton-upon-Tern at the Shropshire Union Canal. In front of us here is the Tiley Canal cutting, which is also known as the Woodseaves cutting. The lock you can see is Tiley Lock, one of several along the canal's main line. Tiley Wharf used to serve as a small dock above a flight of 5 locks. In 1911 it was used to load milk churns, which were then taken by barge from the Peatswood estate to the Cadbury's chocolate factory at Knighton. This is the first time we've ever seen the Shropshire Union Canal in a main episode. We did briefly see it in Chester though. Even though most of it is within Shropshire, the network has branches in Staffordshire and Cheshire, and even extends over the border into Wales. It links the canal system of the West Midlands at Wolverhampton with the River Mersey and the Manchester Ship Canal at Ellesmere Port. This is the main line, which was the last trunk narrow canal route to be built in England and wasn't completed until 1835. It was the last major civil engineering accomplishment of Thomas Telford. The name Shropshire Union comes from the amalgamation of various smaller companies, including the Ellesmere Canal, the Chester Canal, the Birmingham and Liverpool Junction Canal, and the Montgomeryshire Canal. They came together to form the Shropshire Union Railways and Canal Company in 1847. The main line between Nantwich and Otherley Junction was almost built as a railway, although eventually it was decided to construct it as a waterway instead. This cutting was dug in 1832, 3 years before the Shropshire Union Canal network was fully completed. This is the longest cutting on any canal in Britain. It's about 2.7 kilometres long and has a maximum depth of about 21.3 metres. It's also an SSSI these days too. Now, for the most part in these early Shropshire episodes, I'm going to be doing a lot of driving around because Shropshire is a very, very rural county. So from here at Tiley Lock, we're going to head deeper into Shropshire, and that means heading down this road here. We're heading for a pub next called the Four Alls. The Four Alls. We've met one of those before, haven't we? Do you remember Lancashire? If not, you're about to. Not far away from the canal is a small hamlet which is called Four Alls. This is considered by many to be part of the village of Woodseaves, but it's a long way up the A529. In any event, there's a pub here called the Four Alls Inn. This is the second time we've seen a pub with this name. Last time we did, we were in Pendle in a place called Higham, but both pubs get their titles in the same way. The name represents the king, who rules all, the soldier, who fights for all, the priest, who prays for all, and the peasant, who pays for all. The Four Alls boldly claims it's Shropshire's premier gastropub. It prides itself on serving exceptional home-cooked food and traditional ales. It's also a perfect venue for weddings, parties, and business events. Your four-legged friends are also welcome in its bar area. Incidentally, if you were to head north along the A529 from this pub, you'd pass the site of Tiley Castle. It was built after the Norman conquest by the Pantulfs. The castle was succeeded by a manor house which fell into disrepair, and today there's an 18th century farmhouse built on its site. We are heading south next, down the A529 towards the rest of Woodseaves. It's a notable little place actually, considered to be the midpoint of the longest north to south axis of the UK. It sits in the far southeastern corner of Sutton-upon-Tern's boundaries. It's on a junction where the road splits into two pieces. It has an old school and a former Methodist chapel, but its main attraction is railway themed. You can't board a train into Market Drayton from it, but take yourself down this road into the village and you can definitely catch something. Okay, so this is Woodseaves and there's not much to it, but the railway enthusiasts out there will know a bit about this place, you would have thought, because over there's a miniature railway. Opened in 2004, this is the Woodseaves Miniature Railway. It's a complex line that runs through the grounds of the Woodseaves Garden Plants Nursery. Trains are operated by a Romulus and Roanoke petrol locomotive. The line is a 7¼ inch job, which is over 450 metres long. In 2008, the line was extended to include a route avoiding the station area. There are now route variations through 2 loops around the nursery and the gardens. It operates on Sundays, Wednesdays and bank holidays, usually from Easter until September every year. Here's the old school, located where the 2 roads of Woodseaves village meet each other. This has been closed for several decades, as you can probably tell. Any school children living in this part of the parish these days likely attend school in Hinstock, just down the A529. And this is the old chapel just a stone's throw away back up the A529. This was the Woodseaves Wesleyan Methodist Chapel and it was built in 1896 and 97. The local Wesleyans previously met in private houses, one belonging to Mr. Hill. The chapel celebrated its first anniversary in May 1898. It was still in use in 1941, but it's not explicitly clear when it closed. It has now ceased to be used for religious worship, having been sympathetically converted into a house. It gained an extension in modern times. Now for a drive through Sutton upon Tern, and to say this is the main village in the parish, it's ridiculously small. Sutton upon Tern is little more than a hamlet and it lies on the River Tern, a powerful waterway according to its Welsh derivation. Sutton never used to be its own parish. Instead, it was part of the much larger Drayton in Hales, which was abolished in 1914. That means the first census entry for Sutton couldn't actually be made until 1921, when it had a total population of 512. That figure soon began to grow, and by 1961 the population had tripled in size to 1,622. Now, as you can probably tell, there's nowhere near 1,600 people that live in Sutton itself. Although the population has slowly been declining since, the majority live in Buntingsdale. Sutton has remained very rural and reliant on farming. Part of its former farmland is now used for the sport of golf. If you drive north from the centre of the hamlet, you're heading for the site of Market Drayton Golf Club. Let's do that next, because it's got a tale to tell us. Market Drayton Golf Club is a tranquil, picturesque and challenging course that was laid out on its current site in 1926, originally as a 9-hole course. It was actually founded some 20 years before that though, in 1906, and this is the third site on the outskirts of the town that it's occupied. In its early days, the club had 70 playing members, with men paying a 2-guinea subscription and the ladies 1 guinea. Ever since, it's actively promoted the idea of golf for all. Men, women, juniors and seniors all play here, with current membership ranging from 5 years of age to 91. Among its professionals, the most famous is Bert Gadd, appointed in 1927 and winner of the French Open in 1933 and the Irish Open at Royal Portrush in 1937. Some of his clubs have now been restored and are displayed along with the other important artifacts in the clubhouse. This didn't become an 18-hole course until 1988, following the purchase and development of some newly acquired land. The naturally draining terrain it sits on has matured into a parkland and heathland course, supporting a rich variety of wildlife. Some of the fairways run around and through Brown Hill Wood and the historic Salisbury Hill. These together were the scene of the gathering of the Earl of Salisbury's troops before the Battle of Blore Heath in 1459. We're still driving, which is a really good way to know we're in a sparsely populated area. Next up, we're going south towards the A41 and through 2 small hamlets called Colehurst and Rosehill. Now, there's nothing greatly special about Colehurst, except for maybe its small fishery. Fishing, though, is also something you can do in Rosehill, at the Rosehill carp fishery that's almost next door. The pond you use for that is overlooked by a very historic and picturesque mill, which is well worth stopping to have a look at. So we will. Fun one this, isn't it? These narrow, tight, twisty lanes. It's everything I expected Shropshire to be. Rosehill Mill was a water-powered corn crusher, and the carp fishery opposite used to be its mill pond. Both are considered to be part of Stoke Heath, which lies mainly over the parish boundary to the southwest, marked by the A41. Nice spot this, in all. The A41 at this point is an old Roman road. On maps, it's referred to as the Longford. It gives its name to the village of Longford in Morton-Say, just to the north of where we are. By 1319, it was a royal road between Bletchley to the north and Hinstock to the south. Between those two villages, the A41 passes through an area called Tern Hill, which gave its name to an RAF base. RAF Tern Hill is to the left-hand side of the screen right now. It closed in 1976 as an active RAF base, but it's still in use, partially by the British Army. The technical and administrative site became Borneo Barracks, which was later renamed Clive Barracks in honour of Major General Robert Clive. The airfield part of the site was retained by the RAF and is now known as Tern Hill Airfield. Any flying that takes place here now is predominantly relief landing for helicopters of the No. 1 Flying Training School based at RAF Shawbury, although Turnhill is also used by the RAF's No. 632 Volunteer Gliding Squadron. It's Clive Barracks though, which has more of a presence here today.
So it feels like we've been driving around forever, but we finally got to a place that resembles some kind of village. This is Buntingsdale, and this is where most of Sutton-upon-Tern's population live.
This is Buntingsdale on the other side of the A41. This village wasn't on the map at the beginning of this episode, but today this is where most of the population of Sutton-upon-Tern live. The reason is simply because this is the service family accommodation for the barracks. Whilst most of the barracks is off limits to us, these housing estates are not behind the wire, so to speak. They consist of two areas, Buntingsdale Park, which is mainly officers' housing, and the Buntingsdale Estate, which is for other ranks. Buntingsdale, although military related, has things which we would consider to be very normal in a standard English village. There's a play area, for example, in the middle of it, which serves the children of the barrack families. They also have a school they can go to here as well. In 2012, Buntingsdale changed from an infant and nursery school to a primary and nursery school, and that's how we find it today. It has pupils in all year groups, with the annual admission number for each being 15. Being within close proximity to the army base, both civilian and armed service families attend the school. This presents its own challenges. Staff here are skilled in managing the often unavoidable movement that's a feature of active military service life. Then there's the Rangers Community Centre in the middle of the village, which again is military related. You can see there's a British flag flying at the entrance too. If I didn't know better, I'd say the huge building behind this is an old aircraft hangar. What do you think? Buntingsdale Hall has its own connection to the armed forces. When the RAF were around, this was the HQ of No. 22 Squadron. The hall, though, wasn't purpose-built for the RAF. Instead, this has been here since the early 18th century. Buntingsdale Hall is a historic country house which became a Grade 2 listed building on the 14th of February 1979. It was first built for Bulkley Mackworth and the Mackworth family between 1719 and 1721. The plans for the building were drawn up by London architect and surveyor John Prince. Prince would only be the initial designer though, as the building was completed by Francis Smith of Warwick. The reason for this change of architect is believed to be down to Mackworth. Documents suggest there was a dispute between him and Prince, and so he was dismissed. Her Herbert Mackworth later sold the hall to his cousin William Taylor, who owned the property for many years. This is why the road that leads to the house today is called Taylor Drive. The current owners are once again the Mackworths, direct descendants of Bulkley Mackworth himself. Buntingsdale Hall would go on to be No. 22 Squadron's base, and it's possible they were even formed here in 1943. By 1969, there was a modern kitchen serving the original dining room in the north wing, but there were very few other facilities for RAF staff. Officers who lived in here didn't actually sleep in the hall. Instead, they had separate sleeping accommodation in nearby huts. When the squadron was disbanded in 1972, there was a simple ceremony which saw the RAF ensign at Buntingsdale lowered for the last time. In 1986, a survey was conducted of the property which revealed several furnishings had been stolen from the hall. By 2000, the hall was in disrepair and was placed on the Historic Buildings at Risk register. Subsequently, it was renovated and was finally removed from the register in 2004. The grounds have been altered several times. Indeed, there were many instances during the 18th and 19th centuries. These modifications saw a kitchen garden, grassland, a large fish pond, and a boathouse all be added. By the end of the 19th century, a new lodge had been added too. The River Tern passes to the north of Buntingsdale Hall, with the main garden retaining wall west of the house. The estate formerly included the remains of Fort Hall Castle, which is a ringwork and bailey located some 390 metres west of the main building.
Now then, Shropshire people, you guys will never have seen me before because, as I said at the beginning of this video, it's the first time I've touched the county. Now, when I come to a place that I've never done before, I leave one of these cards on the parish notice board. Now, it was pointless stopping in Sutton upon Tern itself to do this because, as you've seen, it's a very small place. It's better to do this in a place that's got most of the population, i.e. Buntingsdale. So here's the parish notice board, which is next to the school. I'm going to leave one of these cards on here so that people can see I've been. Job done. The last stop on the trip through Sutton upon Tern for us is the hamlet of Tern Hill. This is a bit of a strange place because Tern Hill occupies a triangular piece of land that's almost an exclave. It's only connected to the rest of the parish via a small strip of land over the A41. Even more weirdly, not all of Tern Hill falls within Sutton. The A41 splits it into two pieces, with the eastern part connected to Moreton Say. However, the western portion, which is within Sutton, has the most interesting bit anyway. It was the site of Tern Hill Railway Station. Tern Hill Railway Station was opened in 1867 and closed in 1963. It was notable for its pagoda shelter adjacent to the booking office. Today, on the site of the old station, you'll find Tony Hamer and Sons, a gravel and sand supplier. Their current yard was once part of the station complex. To mark this piece of history, there's a replica train outside on the road. That's a nice touch. Nothing remains of the station now because it was completely demolished, due mainly to road improvements at the busy junction between the A41 and the A53. Passenger numbers were always very small at Tern Hill, although the building of the RAF's aerodrome did boost its usage in the 1920s. Most people that used the line through here, the Wellington to Nantwich, were heading for Market Drayton, a busy, bustling market town. Right, that's one down and just the 200 to go in Shropshire. Easy stuff that, we'll have them done in no time. Well, if only it was that easy. We have 4 more to cover this week and we're not going too far to get to number 2. Join me tomorrow as we visit another scattered parish, just like this one.
Now, just before I go, remember, this video is part of a huge project to visit every civil parish in England. That's more than 10,000. These routes are pre-planned, and due to time constraints, I can't cover every detail or walk down every street. Please don't complain if this video missed something out. I pronounce names how I choose to. I am very aware that local dialect may vary, and I don't take kindly to criticism about this. You've been warned. It's impossible to know everything too. If this video was terrible, make your own. If you're a regular watcher of The Village Idiot, you're not the only one. If you've got a small business, why not use my videos to advertise it? Leave a comment below if you're interested. And finally, thanks for watching this episode, everybody. Give us a like and a subscribe if you've enjoyed this episode, and share it with your friends and relatives. It all helps to keep this mission going. Until next time, I've been Andy, also known as The Village Idiot, and I'm out.